Mate. Poor Perth Glory. Hey, my name's Lockie, and this is Coast Watch Football, and this is the first video in a series of videos I'll be doing, where I'll be doing a season review for every single club in the A-League, and the first team to wrap up their season are the cellar dwellers, the wooden spooners, Perth Glory. Where do we start with Perth Glory? A team who entered this season with so much excitement, and of course that was coming off the back of the signing of Daniel Sturridge, one of the biggest names to arrive on the shores of Australia when it comes to the round ball game. Daniel Sturridge arrived at the club with a whole lot of pressure. You'd expect a striker of his stature to tear the league apart, potentially, and especially with the combination of Bruno Fornaroli. There was a lot of people who were excited to see how that combination was going to play out, and my goodness, did it fail miserably. And of course, Perth played that first home game in front of a pretty big crowd at HBF Park. Daniel Sturridge got on for a couple of minutes, but from there, it was just absolute mayhem. Being away from WA for so long, the border issues, and just struggling to build any momentum when it came to results and the injuries that they were sustaining. When you looked at some of the results they picked up, there are actually some decent results here and there. The 3-0 away win to Melbourne Victory, the win away to Sydney FC, and of course to round out their season, the 2-0 win at home against Melbourne City, the ladder leaders, to make that title race just a little bit more interesting to round out this A-League regular season. But that was really it for highlights for Perth Glory. They simply were losing too many games, and the thing that stood out for me watching Perth Glory games is their inability to score and create goals. Bruno Fornaroli was the star man once again for Perth Glory, and he grabbed almost half of their goals. Across their 26 A-League games, they only won 4, they drew 6, and lost a total of 16 games, only managing to score 20 goals and conceding 43. It wasn't the worst defense in the league. There's actually teams across the competition who conceded more goals, but you have to be scoring more than 20 goals in a competition that has 26 games. And look, Bruno Fornaroli grabbed almost half of those goals. It just goes to show they didn't have enough quality, creativity in attack. And look, a lot of it comes down to, I look back to losing Diego Castro last season, and the player that they brought in to replace him was Adrian Sardinero. And look, some of you watching this video might not even have heard the name before, Adrian Sardinero, and that's exactly the point. He's arrived on Australian shores and expected to, in some way or form, to replace the impact of Diego Castro. And Adrian Sardinero, we can safely say, has been one of the flops of the season in the A-League. Simply failed to make an impact in the A-League, failed to really settle in. And I feel for the guy as well. Obviously, those first few months with COVID and the amount of travel they had to do, it was difficult for these guys who had just arrived in Australia to get settled in. They weren't able to play, home games in front of their home crowd and get used to their home stadium. Of course, a big turning point for Perth Glory, well, I use the term turning point loosely, was the sacking of Richard Garcia. For me, it was the correct decision. And you look back to, this Perth Glory side was in the grand finals a few years ago. You just wonder, maybe the downfall has started from them, and this has just been a gradual downfall ever since then. Richard Garcia has failed to produce a really good quality Perth Glory side. Ruben Zadkovic brought in as interim manager, and look, has done the best he could, I think, considering the players that he had available. And the number of injuries that they sustained, that is one of the big things as well. When you look at the first half of the season, COVID and travel was the thing that was really hampering Perth Glory this season. And for the second half of the season, it was just the incredible injury list. Brandon O'Neill, for me, is the big one. Around that midway point of the season, the injury to O'Neill really cost Perth Glory big time. Another one of those players, those star players who, everyone was so excited to see back in WA this season, and that injury cost them big time. Bruno Fornaroli was missing after Socceroos duty. Of course, we know about Daniel Sturridge and his injury woes. And there's so many other players to list. Aaron Calver departed midway through the season as well. It just kept getting everything that could have gone wrong for Perth Glory this season did go wrong. That's simply, that's the narrative for Perth Glory this season. Everything went wrong. And I really feel for Perth Glory fans. Honestly, talking about it now, I feel for Perth Glory. The question almost has to be asked, has this been one of the worst performances by a club in the history of the A-League? I think they come close, to be honest. 4 wins across 26 games is not impressive at all. Don't think they take that title. There were some Central Coast Mariners seasons not too long ago that certainly weren't up to scratch. But Perth Glory need to turn things around and have a lot of work to do for next season. And I want to round out the video by posing a question to you guys, the viewers. So I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comments section. What specific positions do you think Perth Glory should be recruiting in for next season? For me, it has to be a solid, creative attacking midfield. midfielder. If they can get Bruno Fornaroli, firing once again next season, just a number 10, just a creative player to link the midfield to attack. That's sort of the player for me that they really missed after losing Diego Castro. No Perth Glory player really managed to fill that role this season for Perth Glory. And for extra points as well, feel free to throw in the comment section, are there any specific players that you would love to see Perth Glory sign next season? Guys, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. It does help me out a whole lot. And make sure you stay subscribed to keep up to date to these videos coming out across the next few weeks, where I'll be doing a season review for every single A-League club. My name is Lockie. This is Coast Football. See you in the next one.